This is Kwara TV News reaching you from our studio. You can watch us on Star Times 113, Free TV 502. You can also follow us on Facebook at Kwara TV. We are also available on YouTube. Hi, I'm Gisayo Aweda. I'm not alone. I have with me.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Compliments of this season. This is Kwara TV News tonight. We are broadcasting live from our television house here in Apata Yakuba, in the Kwara State capital, North Central Nigeria, West Africa. My name is Tosin Abdiri. Thank you very much for joining us. From the languages desk.
Na chief wa pata ya kuona iti Free TV over bisi tatu duba iti start time shi tatu at Kwara TV iti wana tuya felu kwa mnuma lando zoni vya ane suna mekolo jia ya
Kale àsìkò iṣẹ́ látàárọ̀ àkójọpọ̀ ìròyìn ni àmútàn ẹwà láti kànnì mú máwòrán tìpínlẹ̀ Kwara yìí tó fi kalẹ̀ sí Apata Yakuba nílùú Ìlọrin. Muhammad Jamiu Alapo ni orúkọ tèmi, ṣùgbọ́n gẹ́gẹ́ bí ṣe wá èdè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì láfi ṣíde ìròyìn kápá sọ́dọ̀ Bùsáyọ̀ àti Tósìn.
Troops of the Joint Task Force JTF have foiled an attempt attack by bandits on several communities in Shanono local government area of Kano State after hours of fighting. The clash began late on Thursday night and continued into the early hours of Friday in Yakuda, Babanduro and nearby villages. Confirming the incident, the Nigerian Army spokesperson in Kano, Major Zubar Babatunde, said the bandits attempted to enter the communities on motorcycles while shooting. He explained that the attack was a revenge mission following the bandits' loss of fighters to military firepower during an earlier encounter last week. He added that the prompt action of the troops prevented loss of lives and major property damage. Babatunde reassured residents that the military will continue to protect lives and property and urged them to provide timely and credible information to security agencies. The Kebbi State government has directed all public and private primary and secondary schools across the state to reopen for the second term of the 2025-2026 academic section on Monday, January 5th, 2026. The directive was contained in separate statement jointly signed by the Public Relations Officer of the Kebbi State Universal Basic Education Board, Issa Ibrahim, and the Deputy Director Academics of the Ministry for Basic and Secondary School Education, Aliu Bagarawa. It will be recorded that the state government had early ordered the closure of schools following the adoption of 20 students of government-day secondary school, Maga, in Zulu local government area by suspected bandits. The decision to reopen the school is part of the government's commitment to maintaining a stable and uninterrupted academic calendar after the successful completion of the first term. Health schools were directed to ensure the readiness of staff and facilities, while parents and guardians were advised to ensure the prompt resumption of their children and wards to enhance effective teaching and learning. In a related circular, zonal education officers, principals, head teachers and proprietors of private schools were informed that the first week of the second term would be dedicated to the conduct of outstanding first-term examinations. Normal classroom teaching is expected to commence on Monday, January 12, 2026 after the conclusion of the examination. The state government warned that strict adherence to the approved resumption timetable and examination schedule would be enforced, noting that monitoring teams will be deployed to ensure compliance.
Now to some political stories in Ekiti. The Ekiti People's Democratic Party, PDP, candidate for June 2026 governorship election, Wale Oluide, has vowed to resist any attempt to stop him and the party from participating in the poll. Oluide, who faulted the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for failing to add his name, and the PDP in its recently released list of political parties' governorship candidates, said such amounts to an attempt to preclude him and his party from contesting the election. The Australian-based medical doctor spoke in Ikere Ekiti while reacting to his exclusion from the list of 12 parties governorship candidates released by INEC earlier in the week. He wondered why his name and that of his party was not included in the list by the electoral body, whose officials monitored and okayed the November 8, 2025 Ekiti PDP governorship primary elections, where he emerged as the party governorship candidate. Addressing his men on the matter, Oluyede said it has been drawn to his attention that the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) released a list of political party candidates for the 2026 governorship election in the Ekiti state, and his name was excluded as the People's Democratic Party candidate. Oluyede advised those trying to exclude him and others from contesting the election with them to have a rethink, saying that it is a bad game and it is not really the right thing to do.
Giving gratitude to Allah has been described as a way to receive more blessings from Him. This was the thrust of the khutbah delivered by the Imam of Ali Ikima University in Ilorin, Dr. Najib Abbas, during the Jumat service. Sulaiman Azam covered the Jumat prayer for Kwara TV News, and his report is presented from our studios. In his khutbah, Dr. Najib Abbas admonished the congregation to always be grateful to Allah for the blessings in their lives. He advised the Muslim Ummah against hiding the blessings of Allah upon their lives, noting that through charity to others, Allah provides more blessings to His servants. Dr. Abbas noted that being thankful to Allah is one of the characteristics of a pious Muslim.
You are being thankful to Allah because whenever you give, Allah will like you and Allah will accept your gratitude. So that is what Allah needs from us most.
The Imam then led the congregation in 2 rakat obligatory prayer. Some of the worshippers who spoke with Kwara TV News described the sermon as a reminder to always remain grateful to Allah.
The khutbah centered upon gratitude, to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because today's Jum'ah is a day that we start our annual convocation.
In Allah, so whatever Allah does, you should accept it as a qadar, and whatever He forsakes for someone, you have to accept it as well as qadar.
You're watching Kwara State Television News. It's time to go on our first break. To return with more news. Please stay tuned.
Thank you very much for staying tuned. Still on the news in Oyo State, the Oyo State government has disclosed that the 30 billion naira released by the federal government as part of the intervention fund for the January 16, 2024 Bodija explosion in Ibadan remains untouched, while the outstanding 20 billion naira balance from the 50 billion naira approved has yet to be released. In a statement issued by the Commissioner for Information, Dr. Yilade, confirmed that the 30 billion naira is still lodged in the state's infrastructure support account with First Bank. He explained that the government deliberately refrained from accessing the funds because the remaining 20 billion naira has been withheld by the federal agencies without explanation. Governor Seyi Makinde had initially requested 100 billion naira in federal support to address the aftermath of the explosion, saying outline emergency measures already taken by the state, including medical care for victims, provision for accommodation for displaced persons and deployment of rescue equipment. President Bola Tinubu later approved 50 billion naira, half of the requested sum, with 30 billion naira released in November 2024. The year stressed that despite federal delays, Oyo State has spent 24.6 billion naira of its own resources on reconstruction and victim support. He said that the Oyo State government has nothing to hide and will continue to engage the public transparently on all issues. He said Governor Makinde remains committed to serving the people of Oyo State faithfully, truthfully, and with utmost respect for the social contract that binds government to the governed.
The Nigerian Army has dismissed allegations of non-payment of allowances and extortion by soldiers deployed in Ogun State, describing the claim as false, malicious, and misleading. The denial issued by the Assistant Director, Army Public Relations, 35 Artillery Brigade, Major Akari, via the Nigerian Army ex-Andu, said the denial is in response to a viral video that circulated on social media by an individual identified as Abdul. The video alleged that soldiers deployed on company duties were denied their allowances and that troops manning border routes routinely extort motorists. Reacting to the allegations, the brigade explained that personnel deployed on company duties are operating under Operation Mesa, a state-sponsored multi-agency security operation in Ogun State. It added that the allowance is being paid regularly by the state government. On the allegation of extortion, the brigade categorically denied that its troops engage in such activities, stressing that the Nigerian Army maintains zero tolerance for indiscipline and extortion. Describing the viral video as unfounded, the brigade alleged that the individual behind it is a retired airman with a history of spreading false narratives against senior officers in an attempt to mislead the public.
Let's go to Plateau, where the Plateau State Governor, Caleb Mutfwang, has officially defected from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to the All Progressives Congress, APC. The governor was formally received into the APC in Jos, where the state chairman of the party, Mr. Rufus Baturo, presented him with membership card. Speaking at the event, Mutfwang said his decision to join the APC was taken in the interest of Plateau State, assuring residents that his administration would remain inclusive despite the change in party. Describing the move as a defining moment, the governor called on the people of the state to remain united. Mutfwang expressed appreciation to members of the PDP, his former party, for providing him with a platform for his political journey. He noted that his defection to the APC would further spur him to deliver qualitative leadership and deepen development across the state. The governor also thanked President Bola Tinubu for what he described as his deep love for Plateau State and pledged his support for the president's re-election bid in 2027.
Kano State High Court has affirmed the appointment of Abdullahi Zubar Abiya as the acting chairman of the new Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, in Kano State. The court also upheld the suspension of the former state chairman, Hashim Dugurawa, and restrain him from interfering in the affairs of the party pending the determination of the substantive suit. However, the court fixed January 19 for the hearing of the case instituted by the Dawakin Tofa Local Government Executive Committee of the NNPP against Dugurawa. The ruling followed an application filed before the court challenging Dugurawa's continued claim to the chairmanship after his suspension by the party state executive committee. Ashimu Sulaiman Dugurawa is reportedly aligned with the party's national leader, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. Meanwhile, the Kano State Executive Committee of the NNPP, during an emergency meeting held at the party secretariat in Kano, confirmed the appointment of Abiya as acting state chairman. The court ordered all parties to maintain the status quo and directed that Dugurawa should refrain from parading himself as chairman or taking any action capable of disrupting the party's activities in the state, pending the hearing and determination of the suits.
Still out of the news, former Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, SAN, and his son, Abubakar Abdulaziz Malami, are to remain in Kuje prison till January 7th, when their bail applications will be decided. Justice Emeka Nwete issued the order after taking argument for and against the bail application filed by Malami and his son, who are on trial over a 9 billion naira money laundering charge brought against them by the federal government. Justice Emeka Nwete announced that he had several other matters to rule upon as a vacation judge, hence will not be able to deliver their ruling until the date. Joseph Daudu argued that the bail applications for the three defendants, while Emmanuel Ikili and Acho opposed the motion on behalf of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Malami and his co-defendants had pleaded not guilty to all the charges filed against them by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on behalf of the federal government.
Muslims have been charged to be of good character and show kindness to everyone around them. This was the core message of the sermon delivered by Sheikh Abdulrazak Aduagba during the fidal prayer of late Alhaji Ibrahim Sulaiman Dagiwa, who passed on in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, at the age of 67. Sulaiman Azan reports that the fidal prayer attracted people from all walks of life who gathered to pay their last respects. His report is presented from our studios. In the sermon, Sheikh Abdulrazak Aduagba emphasized that Muslims should always engage in good deeds and constantly remember death. He noted that Allah grants Al-Jannah only to those He is pleased with, urging Muslims to always remember Allah in their actions. Sheikh Aduagba described Alhaji Ibrahim Sulaiman Dangiwa as a soft-hearted man who was always ready to help others.
Allah mama sana wana kaya wofu ye ma tabati dunya illa bi dhikrika Ọlọ́run ayo dùn àbí ke o ma rántí rẹ̀ wal akhiratu illa bi afwika le ra ẹ̀yin ò lè ra ni janna ẹ̀yin ò lè rí jo alkiyama ẹ̀yin ò lè kure ẹ̀yin ò lè sọ̀kalẹ̀ ere illa bi afwika afen tó bá yọ́nú sí.
Other clerics in their sermons also emphasized the remembrance of death and the need for good behavior. Some relatives who spoke to Kwara TV News, including the children and sympathizers, described Alhaji Ibrahim Sulaiman Dangiwa as an elder man who was always willing to embrace everyone, regardless of who they were.
My dad looks very harsh on the outside, but he has a very soft heart, and he takes everybody's problem as his own, and he has always been supportive of we, his children, his daughters, his son, even those he didn't give birth to biologically. They're all his. He's raised a lot of children.
Everybody is his own, and he makes sure that all of us that we are not brought up in Ilorin, we make sure that we all find our way back home. So he has been a very supportive person to us.
He has helped a lot of people from influence and trying to make people being better than who they are.
In terms of generosity, I've never set my eyes on anyone that I can say is equal to him.
Alhaji was a good father, a good husband, and a father to all.
He's a philanthropist, he's a mentor, and he gives the needy. He's a father to all.
Moving on, the first Islamic university in Nigeria, Al-Hikmah Varsity, is to graduate 2,833 students in its 15th convocation ceremony. The Vice Chancellor of the institution, Professor Lateef Oladimeji, disclosed this at a press briefing heralding the commencement of ceremonies for the 15th convocation of the varsity. Our correspondent, Babatunde Zuma, completes the story.
Activities marking the commencement of the 15th convocation ceremony of Al-Hikmah University have begun in earnest with a press briefing addressed by the Vice Chancellor, Professor Lateef Oladimeji. Professor Oladimeji, while giving the breakdown of statistics of the graduating students, said the institution produces a total of 2,192 bachelor's degrees, 77 undergraduate diplomas, 485 master's degrees, and 79 Doctor of Philosophy.
And the increasing confidence placed in the university by students and parents. I have a table here, the statistics between the undergraduates. For the first class, we have 76 students, which is a percentage of 3.5.
The Vice Chancellor, who presented the scorecards of the institution, said the university is grateful for the growth of its academic programs and the confidence reposed in the university by the students and their parents. The university administrator said he has introduced an implementation framework in pursuit of quality education blended with Islamic values, morality, and wisdom.
As we had another year in 2026, we have steadily grown into dynamic community of scholars, thinkers, and leaders, making meaningful contributions both locally and internationally.
The approach, he added, is aimed at empowering staff, strengthening governance, and accelerated progress in a bid to continuously position Al-Hikmah University on the path of growth for national and global recognition, citing the recent ranking of Al-Hikmah by Times Higher Education as an example. Other activities lined up for the 15th convocation ceremony include convocation lecture to be delivered by Senator Barau Jibrin, the Deputy Senate President, and conferment of degrees on graduating students. Both events were slated for next week, Wednesday and Thursday, respectively. Babatunde Jimba, Kwara TV News.
You're watching Kwara TV News tonight. Let's go on another break. When we return, bring you more stories from the business, sports, and the world scene. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying tuned. The police in Ogun State have charged Abili Mobolaji Kayode, the driver of the Nigerian British boxer Anthony Joshua, to court. Reports that the Ogun Police Command on Thursday announced that the driver was in custody. An update on Friday, the police public relations officer of the command, DSP Oluseyi Babasheyi, in a statement said that the driver has been charged to the Shagamu Magistrate Court. The PPRO further stated that the matter was adjourned to 20th January 2026. It will be recalled that Anthony Joshua on Monday involved in a fatal road accident that claimed the lives of his close friends Shino Gami and Lateef Ayodele.
For business news, the Chartered Institute of Directors of Nigeria says the country needs to keep spending in check, boost local production, and improve governance to drive growth in 2026. Taiwo Nonas Alausa, Director General of CIODN, gave the advice in Lagos via the Institute's New Year Economic Report. He said that with multilateral forecast pointing to only modest expansion in advanced economies, emerging markets such as Nigeria bear greater responsibility for driving growth through internal reforms and productivity gains. Alausa acknowledged the economic and structural reforms undertaken by the current administration since assuming office in May 2023, describing 2025 as a transition year in Nigeria's historic reform journey. He also applauded the reform of Nigerian fiscal framework through the enactment of key tax reform acts. He noted that as Nigeria moves into 2026, the global economy remains constrained by subdued growth, tightening financial conditions, and persistent cost pressures, highlighting that Nigeria must consolidate ongoing structural reforms and decisively address its security challenges to unlock its full potential and attract stronger domestic and foreign direct investments.
And now to sport. The Super Eagles midfielder Fishayo Dele Bashiru has declared that he and his national teammates are fully prepared for the pressures of the African Cup of Nations knockout round as they prepare to face Mozambique on Monday. The Super Eagles secured their place in the last 16 by topping Group C with 9 points. The campaign began with a 1-0 victory over Tanzania, followed by a thrilling 3-2 win against Tunisia, and concluded the group stage with a dominant 3-1 triumph over Uganda. Now the three-time African champions will meet Mozambique in the first knockout stage. This is confirmed by Super Eagles media officer Promise Ewufke, who stated that Chile believes he needs undisturbed time to prepare for the clash with Mozambique.
For world news, multiple-story buildings in Kenya's capital Nairobi collapsed, leaving an unknown number of people trapped beneath the rubble. Rescue workers have continued to dig through the debris looking for survivors. According to local media, the building was 16 stories high. The Kenya Red Cross said a multi-agency response team was at the scene, an area of Nairobi known as South C. Authorities have not yet indicated why the buildings might have collapsed or how many people have been killed, although the death toll is not expected to be high. Building collapses are common in Nairobi due to high demand for housing, and developers often bypass regulations or simply violate building codes. After 8 buildings collapsed and killed 15 people in Kenya in 2015, the presidency ordered an audit of buildings across the country to see if they were up to code. The National Construction Authority found that 58% of the buildings in Nairobi were unfit for habitation. And our world news concludes a package from the English desk. Over to Jiha for Labari.
Makataya lege Islamic mafariki Nigeria halikima da shiro ajin shane titia ya eji makataya na jilo gba be poni tu gbon be wute na ishi gweji chiya makatanchi na akuji de tiana shaba tishe makatanchi manko Latif Oladimeji la nana tula na ayekan be labari kuchi eti ya shani gweji unchi ya mkata unchi no labari kachi baba to de jimba dan bobe mo wuyan ke shiri shani titia gweji chi ya mkata lege alekima hayani be kaye be labari kuchi bana shaba tishi mkata manko Latif Oladimeji de baza eti shiriji na ji adana manko Oladimeji na unfe baga eti shiriji na abeje shani titia mchana latula ke eji mankataje na ji lo gba tu pako adin gututana achi agade atia be bachelor degree ndan eji mankataje na ji lo shini di gutana achigaga atia ke diploma no ndan eji mankataje na ji lo poba tu shitun be guchna láti ra àtìyàn be master degree nama eza na jilo shinidi nínà àtìyàn doctors of philosophy na yan PhD na tachiyan eya na kugan je gbani de ijidanu shaba tishe mukatanchi de basa heti na saraji na je beje mukata ligin na ma daji siren heti eyeloji na je beje shiri pikpewa to gaskiya na egi mukata to yammaci de ya be makata ligin leke muchino emigun tishi etulo makatanchi de latula ke ala jiji ya makata muchi de chichi be jiji ya adini islam to pipe ga bichipe nana de la eponse be ya etulo chiji mulikiji to nama ela ezatube eti yeburulu ya makata lege alikima kin aboto kin ejotode patana nama kata lege ya alikima de shiti bandodo nama esuye be jijijino ekaye na jike abe ije shani gogi ci uncina yi shi ekaye tupape daga heba kiniji chiko barawo jibre na isha ba tishi kinigi chiko bana wape zawangi tupana egwadan nya jeje atia mgatanjan nama shanu gubaba uchide abeje efo alarbafo to efo alamifo kendo mamitu dojina wọlé olúyẹdé nala patichichi ena siyasa People's Democratic Party ti Ekiti kuliache esagomina na beje foshi nya etu agutun eyagbatu eshi begutuna de futitapana kede wọ́n jẹ́dá ẹna àkànmú àdéhùn kuliache uchi nínú ẹ̀yà nínú bọ̀nà olúyẹdé wọn ẹ̀ka INEC lẹ́fi etí súnmọ́ tó ẹ̀nà síyásó nádà nínú súnmọ́ nàìjídé alátìyà tó ṣínà ní kí nínú àkànmú na ẹ̀nàmú àkànmú tó ẹ̀nàmú na àdá kuliache na ìbínú lẹ́kìtà uchi na lákìn Australia jí ẹ̀dùn fẹ́ bàzà náà ẹ̀jìwọ́ yán ìkẹrẹ Èkìtì na òǹfẹ́ bàzà etí súnmọ́ nádà nínú súnmọ́ gbóòbí gúbà jẹjìlá pàtìtìtì ẹ̀wà ẹ̀sà gómìnà yẹn kí n jì nínú súnmọ́ náà jẹ alátìyà tó ṣe náà gan wọ́n fẹ́ ẹ̀yẹ ìka bẹ̀nà súnmọ́ tó súnmọ́ ẹ̀nà lẹ́dàn nínú súnmọ́ náà jẹ ẹ̀ka INEC dé látìyà tó ṣe náà nama wọ́n kùlíà yẹn kátàtà kò jẹ fọ́gbùtọ́tà yẹn ètò agbóòbí ní ẹ̀yà gbàtó ẹ̀ṣì bẹ̀ gúchì nama wúgbà kede òde káfà àdán kùlíàche na àbẹ́ ìjẹ̀nù na òǹfẹ́ bàtàbẹ̀ làbàrìkúchì tí àlámọ̀rí ń chọ́nà olúyẹdé gan òde pípẹ́ nya ẹ̀gànnàkẹ́ ẹ̀ka INEC délà súnmọ́ dánimí ẹ̀nà síyásà nàìjíríà tí a àṣẹ kùlíà ní ẹ̀yà gbàtó ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ gbẹ̀gúchì butron nya Èkìtì náà ke sunan de daba to ena siyasa PDP olúyẹdé ya gàngbà ló bá jìdígà dàgbà dán àlámọ̀rí jọna kéde ayé yapa ke nínú ló yí ẹna jẹ pọpọ ìnànà egbo jiya esu soko ta jiya na kede muyi ko ne di alubarika bin daga ko etu soko na kutuba na be izje masalaci juma makata lege alikima na ci ilole abu da kwata likita na jim Abbas na ji juma inú Suleiman Azadan masalaci jumanca ya etumba Kwara TV umma wuya kena umfeji kutuba na likita Najim Abbas wabe jama'a musulmi jina kandondo hafeji ebo ya etusuko eti albarkaji na jibebe yi ijishiliya abonu ya gangba kede agaso albarkanya etusuko ni jidega beje ijishiliya na abuma amaji erwata ya eza na jigadan gwala nyajo na kenena de albarka bendin ya wuji Lekita Abbas Latula kede eboji ya etusuko waji udani miyenede awuba ke ezaye musulmina zuma kutuba ndali mashijo nafila raka guba dokun adinijici na jibalabe labari kuchina de Latula kede kutuba je patupa na afeji ebo ya etusuko kandondonu Gómìnà Ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ Látúlánà kéde owó bílíọ̀nù gbọ̀nwó na gwamnati fiti da ya kinci ke wuce faruwa banadi na beje bodija fugbogi benin ya etu amafari ya gbatu eshi begunina yudobo ala lagwatoma na ma etu ewo bilion eshi nike na ewo nchigagun ewo bilion harata na ye na nínú òsíkà náà ti àdàgbàtà kọmíṣánná ya ìsanwó náà Dọ̀tun Oyèládé ya gaskiya kéde ewo bilion gbọ̀nwóǹtì yídan dufan na ẹ̀yà àǹfààní ẹ̀mí wọ́sọ̀bà na First Bank ní ti kí ń tọ́nà ń jí bayani ke gwamnati daka da la ewo nti so na ń lágbàtọ̀ ètò ewo bilion eshi na ke na daga eba gwamnati fiti na ma owó kada bayani na beje ètò wani gwamna Ṣèyí Mákindé gan kan ya ewo biliyon shitun daga dufan na gwamnati fito na agazo faruwa ba na dimci na be ijenu laki faruwa jirikuje da be shibo daga kiyin na yi ewo don zane je faruwa ci be ijenu kata ya jejide kata na to yegburu lo kuku enya àǹfààní girikuji ti Bola Ahmed Tinubu bejo ta agundagwa ewo bilion arata na ya gafi na ewo bilion gbowo nínú ètò agbóbìnrin ní ẹ̀yàgbà tó ṣe begun Oyèládé Bazalo kéde tó dènà gwamnati fiti a ewo nchikadan ńlá yana gwamnati Ọ̀yọ́ wo ewo na lo bilion eshi begun tu egwa gutsun eti yiyeji to zumatu ya jeji faruwanci dabe ijena ga gwamnati Ọ̀yọ́ de tubani lagwape yandunda na wafelu bi gaskiya de latula kandore ti alamarin dundu na jidiga be ijena gwamna Ṣèyí Mákindé ga de wafeji kokorilo eti etundo ya zawangiji na Ọ̀yọ́ bi elatu gaskiya to na nga China de la alikawali na dan tacin gwamnati to jeji wajen mulki etiwona gaba da baya jama'ar musulmi jana na afebe alibo wanjiji to na ayibo jiziga dan tumba ni ajuna na yi labari wanje daga na beije eba aduwa zumako ya kuci Alhaji Ibrahim Suleiman dangiwa na beije ilori abo na yi eduta kin Kwara na Suleiman Azan da aduwa zumakonci na gogaji daga gwalaye tujo de tiati ba na de adala cinwa ya kucinci cinwa zumago ya kucinci na nini labari wo gana mfejin wajina Sheikh Abdulrazak Aduaba ji bayani etiyana de ala musulmi de cidan etun wangiji lo kene amafa pa chuchu kandundu nlatula ke etusuko aji ila emi aljanna de ya wuji na ga buno ntiwa be jama'a musulmi na afe pa etusuko kandundu endundu nandele aga be ujiji na Sheikh Aduaba
ji Alhaji Ibrahim Suleiman Dangiwaye ke eza san na ma yebo eza na jide dan gwalubona man na jike basa ji wazi na acho ji wazi eti pipa nya chuchu kandundu tuna za wangije de afelotu wangi kandundu bana agadan yalije yegije to bayan bataleje neji balana ji Alhaji Ibrahim Suleiman Dangiwaye ke Musa na jida be zakan to Musa oyibaji oyi zakina Alhaji Ibrahim Suleiman Dangiwa ji ajini ejiya aduani de buta oluwadan ijo egiji bana mele labarin zuwa ne kan be misun nuperan na kina da balako na bayi be misun eyagina
ẹ̀kálẹ́ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ìròyìn ní ọpọ́n sùkàn báyìí Muhammad Jamiu Alákòóló kọ mi lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí àwọn ikọ̀ ọmọogun àjùmọ̀ṣiṣẹ́pọ̀ GTF ni wọ́n ti dènà èròǹgbà àkọlù látọwọ́ àwọn agbébọnjà bandit sáwọn ìlú kan ní ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ Shanoro ní ìpínlẹ̀ Kano lẹ́yìn wákàtí ìgbéjàkaná àkọlù náà ni ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní alẹ́ ọjọ́ ọjọ́bọ̀ tí ó sì tẹ̀síwájú tí wọ́n ìdájúkùtù ọjọ́ ẹtì ní ìlú Yankwanda àti Bambaduhu tó ń tàwọn abúlé míì tó wà ní ẹgbẹ́ rẹ̀ nígbà tó ń fìdí ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ náà múlẹ̀ agbẹnusọ àjọ ọmọ ogun nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà yìí ti ìpínlẹ̀ Kánò ọ̀gágun Zubair Babatunde sọ wípé èròǹgbà àwọn báńdíìtì ọ̀hún láti wọ àwọn abúlé pẹ̀lú alùpùpù nígbà tí wọ́n yin ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìbọn sókè ó ṣàlàyé pé àkọlù ọ̀hún ló jẹ́ ìgbẹ̀san lẹ́yìn tí àwọn báńdíìtì náà pàdánù àwọn ọmọ ogun wọn sọ́wọ́ àjọ ọmọ ogun ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà lásìkò ìgbéjàkaná lọ́sẹ̀ tó kọjá ó fi kún wípé ìgbésẹ̀ kánmọ́kówó látọ̀dọ̀ àjọ ọmọ ogun ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà ló dènà ìpàdánù ẹ̀mí àwọn aláìmọwọ́mẹsẹ̀ àti ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ dúkìá. Babatunde wá ṣe ìdánilójú fáwọn olùgbé wípé àjọ ọmọ ogun yóò tẹ̀síwájú láti dáàbò bo ẹ̀mí àti dúkìá àwọn aráàlú tó sì rọ̀ wọ́n láti pèsè ìròyìn tí yóò fìdí múlẹ̀ lásìkò tó yẹ fáwọn àjọ elétò ààbò. Ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga fásitì ní Nàìjíríà tó jẹ́ àkọ́kọ́ tí ó rọ̀ mọ́ ẹ̀sìn Islam yìí ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga fásitì Al-Hikmat ti ṣetán láti ṣe ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ jáde fún 2,873 àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ nínú ètò ayẹyẹ ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́jáde ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹ́ẹ̀dógún irú ẹ̀. Ọ̀gá àgbà ilé ẹ̀kọ́ náà Ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n Lateef Ọládìméjì ló sọ ilé ìdí mímọ̀ lásìkò àpérò oníròyìn kan èyí tí wọ́n fi ń sàmì ìgbérasọ ayẹyẹ ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́jáde ọ̀hún. Babátúndé Jimba mú ìròyìn wá pé ètò fún ìsàmì ìgbérasọ ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́jáde ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga fásitì Al-Hikmat ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹ́ẹ̀dógún ọ̀hún ni ó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú àpérò oníròyìn èyí tí ọ̀gá àgbà ilé ẹ̀kọ́ náà Ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n Lateef Ọládìméjì tí ó darí ẹ̀. Ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n Ọládìméjì nígbà tí ó ń ka àwọn àṣeyọrí àti àlàkalẹ̀ àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ jáde ọ̀hún sọ wípé ilé ẹ̀kọ́ náà ti pèsè àpapọ̀ ẹgbẹ̀rún ọgọ́rùn-ún kan àti méjìléláàádọ́rin àwọn tí wọ́n ní ìwé ẹ̀rí bachelor's degree nígbà tí mẹ́tàdínlọ́gọ́rin sì ní ìwé ẹ̀rí diploma nígbà tí 404 àti 95 sì ní master's degree. Àwọn 89 ni wọ́n gba ìwé PhD láàrin ọdún tó kọjá sí àsìkò yìí. Ọ̀gá àgbà ọ̀hún tó ṣàgbékalẹ̀ àwọn àṣeyọrí ilé ẹ̀kọ́ náà sọ wípé ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga ọ̀hún ni ó dúpẹ́ púpọ̀ fún ìdàgbàsókè tó ti débá lágbọn ètò ẹ̀kọ́ tó sì ní ìfọwọ́sọ̀yà wípé ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga fásitì ọ̀hún ti rí àtìlẹ́yìn àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ àti àwọn òbí rẹ̀. Àwọn alákòóso ilé ẹ̀kọ́ ọ̀hún tún sọ wípé àwọn ti ṣe àfilọ́lẹ̀ ètò kan èyí tí yóò mú ìpójú owó pọnkún ètò ìpójú owó ètò ẹ̀kọ́ ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga fásitì náà níbàámu pẹ̀lú ìlànà tẹ̀sìn Islam. Ìròyìn ọ̀hún gẹ́gẹ́ bó ṣe fi kún ni yóò rẹ̀ mọ́ ìlọ́gbọ́sápá àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ tí ó tún pọnkún ìṣèjọba àti ìgbélárugẹ ipò ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga fásitì Al-Hikmat nínú ipò àwọn ilé ẹ̀kọ́ jákèjádò orílẹ̀-èdè yìí àti àti lágbàáyé lápapọ̀. Àwọn ètò tó kù tí wọ́n là kalẹ̀ fún ayẹyẹ ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́jáde ọ̀hún ló fi mọ́ ètò ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́jáde èyí tí yóò wáyé látẹnu sẹ́nitọ̀ Barau Jibril tí ó jẹ́ igbákejì ààrẹ asòfin àgbà ní ti ìṣàgbékalẹ̀ ìwé ẹ̀rí fáwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́jáde náà yóò sì tẹ̀lé. Méjèèjì yìí ni yóò wáyé ní ọjọ́ kan síra wọn tí ṣe ọjọ́rú àti ọjọ́bọ̀. Ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Kebbi ti pàṣẹ fún gbogbo àwọn ilé ẹ̀kọ́ ìjọba àti ti aládàáni ní talákọ̀ọ́bẹ̀rẹ̀ àti ti girama láti jákèjádò ìpínlẹ̀ ọ̀hún láti ṣílẹ̀kùn ìkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ sáà kejì tọdún 2025 sí 2026 láti ọjọ́ ajé ọjọ́ karùn-ún oṣù kìíní ọdún 2026. Àṣẹ náà ló wà nínú àtẹ̀jáde ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ tí ó jẹ́ àjùmọ̀buwọ́lù alukoro fún àjọ tó ń rí sí ètò ẹ̀kọ́ káríayé ìpínlẹ̀ Kebbi Isa Ibrahim àti igbákejì adarí fún ètò ẹ̀kọ́ ní iléeṣẹ́ tó ń rí sí ètò ẹ̀kọ́ káríayé àti ẹ̀kọ́ girama Aliyu Bagarawa. Ìyẹn ti rà pé ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ ọ̀hún ni ó ti ṣáájú pàṣẹ kí wọ́n tilẹ̀kùn gbogbo àwọn ilé ẹ̀kọ́ lẹ́yìn tí wọ́n jí àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ mẹ́ẹ̀ẹ́dọ́gbọ̀n gbé ní ilé ẹ̀kọ́ girama Government Day Secondary School tó wà ní Maga níjọba ìbílẹ̀ Zulu látọwọ́ àwọn afurasí agbébọnjà. Ìpinnu láti ṣàtúnṣe àwọn ilé ẹ̀kọ́ ọ̀hún ló wà lára ìfarajìn ìjọba láti ṣe ìmúdúró àti ìtẹ̀síwájú kájọ́káṣu ètò ẹ̀kọ́ tí ò ní ní ìdọwọ́rú lẹ́yìn tí wọ́n ti parí sáà àkọ́kọ́ nínú ètò ẹ̀kọ́ ní ìpínlẹ̀ náà. Nípínlẹ̀ Èkìtì, ẹgbẹ́ olùdíje fún ipò gómìnà nínú ètò ìdìbò tí yóò wáyé ní ogúnjọ́ oṣù kẹfà ọdún 2026 nípínlẹ̀ Èkìtì tó jẹ́ olùdíje fún ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP Wọlé Olúyẹdé ni ó ti lérí wípé òun ò ní fààyè gba èyíkéyìí èròǹgbà láti dá òun àbí ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú òun dúró níbi kíkópa níbi ètò ìdìbò ọ̀hún. Olúyẹdé tí ó di ẹ̀bùrú àjọ elétò ìdìbò ilẹ̀ wa INEC fún kíkùnà láti fi orúkọ rẹ̀ àti ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP sínú orúkọ àwọn olùdíje tí yóò dupò gómìnà tí wọ́n gbé jáde láìpẹ́ yìí lè tó ní irú ìròrí bẹ́ẹ̀ ní jẹ́ èròǹgbà láti yọ òun àti ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú òun kúrò nínú àwọn tí yóò díje níbi ètò ìdìbò ọ̀hún. Dókítà oníṣègùn òyìnbó ọ̀hún tó fi ilẹ̀ Australia ṣe ibùjókòó sọ̀rọ̀ yìí ní Ìkẹ́rẹ́ Èkìtì nígbà tí ó ń gbarata sí bí wọ́n ṣe yọ orúkọ rẹ̀ kúrò nínú orúkọ àwọn olùdíje fún ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú 12 tí àjọ INEC ṣàgbéjáde rẹ̀ ní ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ ọ̀sẹ̀ tó kọjá. Ó ròyìn pé bí wọ́n ṣe yọ orúkọ òun àti ti ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú yìí tí kò sí nínú orúkọ tí àjọ INEC gbé kọjá ni ó fi hàn wípé wọn ò fẹ́ kí àwọn kópa níbi ètò ìdìbò náà léyìí tó ní àjọ elétò ìdìbò sì wà lára àwọn tí wọ́n mójútó ètò ìdìbò kò mẹ́sẹ̀ ó yọ fún ipò gómìnà tí ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP ṣe nípínlẹ̀ Èkìtì ní ọjọ́ kẹjọ oṣù kọkànlá ọdún 2025 níbi tí òun ti jẹyọ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹni tí yóò díje fún ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú ọ̀hún. Nígbà tó ń bá àwọn oníròyìn sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ yìí, Olúyẹdé sọ wípé wọ́n ti pe àkíyèsí òun sí ọ̀rọ̀ pé àjọ elétò ìdìbò ilẹ̀ wa ti ṣàgbéjáde àwọn olùdíje fún ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú tí yóò díje fún ipò gómìnà lọ́dún 2026 ní ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì tí orúkọ òun kò sì jẹyọ àti ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP. Olúyẹdé wa gbé àmọ̀ràn kalẹ̀ fún àwọn tí ó bá lérò ńgbà láti yọ orúkọ rẹ̀ àti àwọn orúkọ míì kúrò nínú àwọn tí yóò díje du ipò lásìkò ètò ìdìbò ọ̀hún kí wọ́n ní àtúnyípadà èrò ọkàn ní ètò ní ó burú púpọ̀ tí kò sì tọ́ rárá. Ìmọ̀ fi ẹ̀mí ìmoore hàn sí Ọlọ́run Ọba Allah ni wọ́n ti júwèé gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọ̀nà láti tún fi rí àlékún ìkẹ́gbà lọ́wọ́ rẹ̀. Eléyìí ni ara kókó kútùbà látẹnu ìmáàmù ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gíga fásitì Al-Hikmah nílùú Ìlọrin dókítà Najib Abbas lásìkò ìrun Jímọ̀ tòní. Suleiman Hassan ni ó péjú síbẹ̀ fún ìkọ̀wé iléeṣẹ́ Kwara TV tó sì mú ìjábọ̀ wá wípé nínú kútùbà rẹ̀ ni dókítà Najib Abbas ti ké sí àwọn jàmáà láti máa fi gbogbo ìgbà dúpẹ́ fún Ọlọ́run Ọba Allah lórí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìkẹ́ tó ṣe nínú ayé wọn. Ó gbé àmọ̀ràn kalẹ̀ fún àwọn jàmáà ọ̀hún tako ìmáa dáwọ́ bo oore Ọlọ́run Ọba Allah nígbàdí wọn ń tọ́ka sí wípé ìmáa tọrẹ àánú fún àwọn tó kù díẹ̀ káàtó fún àtẹni tó bá súnmọ́ ni Ọlọ́run Ọba Allah á tún máa pèsè àlékún ìkẹ́ fún ẹrú rẹ̀. Dókítà Abbas tọ́ka rẹ̀ wípé dídúpẹ́ fún Ọlọ́run bá Allah ló jẹ́ ara ọ̀nà tí wọ́n fi dá mùsùlùmí òdodo mọ̀. ìmáàmù náà ló padà ṣáájú láti kí rákà méjì tó jẹ́ ọ̀ranyàn. ara ní ìgbésẹ̀ tí wọ́n bá ìkọ̀ròyìn iléeṣẹ́ Kwara TV sọ̀rọ̀ wọ́n jù wáàsí náà bíi ìránnilétí láti máa fi gbogbo ìgbà mọ oore Ọlọ́run nínú ayé ẹ̀dá. ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ti sọ dínà wípé 30 bílíọ̀nù náírà tí ìjọba àpapọ̀ gbé jáde fún ìpínlẹ̀ ọ̀hún gẹ́gẹ́ bí ara owó ìdóòlà fún ìbúgbàmù tó wáyé ní Bódìjà ní ọjọ́ 16 oṣù kínní ọdún 2024 ni wọn ò tí ì fọwọ́ kàn nígbà tí wọ́n sì ń dúró de 20 bílíọ̀nù náírà tó kù nínú 50 bílíọ̀nù náírà tí wọ́n buwọ́lù nínú àtẹ̀jáde kan tó jẹ́ látọ̀dọ̀ kọmíṣánná fẹ́tò ìròyìn nípínlẹ̀ ọ̀hún Dọ̀tun Oyèládé ó fìdí ẹ̀ múlẹ̀ wípé 30 bílíọ̀nù náírà ló sì wà nínú akoto owó ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ ọ̀hún. ó ṣàlàyé pé ìjọba náà mọ̀ọ́mọ̀ yọwọ́ kúrò nínú títọwọ́ bọ owó ọ̀hún látàrí wípé ó ń dúró de 20 bílíọ̀nù náírà tó kù èyí tí ìjọba àpapọ̀ tí ì gbé jáde láìsí àlàyé nínú. gómìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé ló ti ṣáájú béèrè 100 bílíọ̀nù náírà lọ́wọ́ ìjọba àpapọ̀ láti fi ṣe ìrànlọ́wọ́ fún àtẹ̀yìnbọ̀ ìbúgbàmù èyí tí ó wáyé nílùú Ìbàdàn lóyè tó ní àwọn ti ṣe àwọn ètò láti fi ṣe ìdóòlà pàjáwìrì látọwọ́ ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ ọ̀hún tó fi mọ́ ṣíṣe ìtọ́jú ètò ìlera fáwọn tí ó fara kásá ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ náà, pípèsè ilé ìgbé fáwọn tí wọn ò nílé lórí wọn àti kíkó jáde àwọn nǹkan ìdóòlà lọ́kùnjọ̀kan. Ààrẹ Bọ́lá Tinubu ni ó padà wá buwọ́lù 50 bílíọ̀nù náírà tó jẹ́ ìdajì owó tí wọ́n béèrè fún pẹ̀lú ìṣàgbéjáde 30 bílíọ̀nù náírà gẹ́gẹ́ bí èṣí kínní ní oṣù kọkànlá ọdún 2024. Oyèládé tẹnumọ́ wípé tóun ti ìfifalẹ̀ látọ̀dọ̀ ìjọba àpapọ̀ nígbà ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ti ná bílíọ̀nù 24.6 náírà nínú àpò ara rẹ̀ fún àtúnkọ́ àti ìṣàtìlẹ́yìn fáwọn tó fara káṣá ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ọ̀hún. ó sọ wípé ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ní kò ní nǹkan kan tó fẹ́ fi pamọ́ tí ó sì máa tẹ̀síwájú láti sọ bí bá ṣe ń lọ fún aráàlú ní ìwà gbangba làṣáta láì dọwọ́ bo nǹkan kan lórí ọ̀rọ̀ náà. ó ṣàlàyé pé gómìnà Mákindé ló sì ní ìfarajìn sí sísin àwọn èèyàn ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ pẹ̀lú ọkàn tó mọ́ àti ìwà gbangba làṣáta tó sì ní ìbọ̀wọ̀ fún gbogbo àgbéjáde iṣẹ́ èyí tó bá so ìjọba mọ́ ìṣe ìlú. ní àkótán àwọn mùsùlùmí ni wọ́n ti ké sí láti jẹ́ oníwà rere kí wọ́n sì máa fi ojú àánú hàn sí gbogbo ẹni tó bá wà ní àyíká wọn. eléyìí ara kókó wáàsí látẹnu Sheikh Abdulrazak àdúrà gbà lásìkò àdúrà fìdáù fún olóògbé Alhaji Ibrahim Suleiman Dangiwa ẹni tí ó jáde láyé olódùlọ́rin nílùú ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara lẹ́nu ọdún 17. Suleiman Hassan jábọ̀ wípé àdúrà fìdáù náà ni ó ṣàkósínú àwọn èèyàn láti tòsí àti jìnnà rere èyí tí wọ́n péjọ láti ṣe ọ̀wọ̀ ìkẹyìn fún olóògbé tó sì mú Suleiman mú ìjábọ̀ wá pé nínú wáàsí rẹ̀ Sheikh Abdulrazak àdúrà gbà tẹnu wọn wípé mùsùlùmí gbọ́dọ̀ máa ṣe dáadáa ní gbogbo ìgbà kó sì máa rántí ikú lóòrèkóòrè. ó tọ́ka wípé Ọlọ́run ọba Allah a máa fi àlìjẹ́nà kẹ ẹni tó bá wù ú tó wá rọ mùsùlùmí láti máa rántí Ọlọ́run Allah ní gbogbo ìgbésẹ̀ wọn. Sheikh àdúrà gbà júwe Alhaji Ibrahim Suleiman Dangiwa gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọkùnrin tó ní ọkàn tó rọ̀ tó sì kó gbogbo èèyàn mọ́ra tó sì tún fẹ́ràn láti máa ṣe ìrànlọ́wọ́ fún tẹrútọmọ. àwọn onímọ̀ ẹ̀sìn tó kù nínú wáàsí wọn ni wọ́n tẹnu mọ́ ìrántí ikú àti ìṣe dáadáa fún gbogbo èèyàn fún ti mọ̀lẹ́bí àwọn ọmọ àtàwọn olùbánikẹ́dùn. wọ́n júwe Alhaji Ibrahim Suleiman Dangiwa gẹ́gẹ́ bí àgbàlagbà tó nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí kíkó gbogbo èèyàn mọ́ra láì wo ipò àbí ẹ̀yà tí onítọ̀hún bá ti wá. ìròyìn orúkọ nígbà lọ fún ti alẹ́ òní Tósìn àti Bùsáyọ̀ àbọ̀ mi rèé o.
Well done, Anapo, and this is where we are rounding it up on Kwara TV main bulletin. We sincerely appreciate you for being part of it. From Tosin.
Thank you very much for watching the news tonight. Continue to watch the television has been to our 24-hour broadcast times. Remember, from StarTimes 113, Free TV 502. We're also live on Facebook at Kwara TV. My name is Tosin Adiwe.
Tole ya feda na sa sun ya kifila labari woroji be no suna mi kolo jiya da ya esila squan be buyi
ọlá tún ní akọ̀tún ìròyìn ìlú aṣojú wọn Muhammad Jamiu Aliyu Alapolo ní eré kankan kó mọ sọlẹ̀ sọ́ọ̀dẹ̀ kó wọ́wọ́ ó dàrọ̀.
That's it tonight. Thank you very much for watching from Busayo.
I am Busayo Aweda. Thanks for watching. Good night.